Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thomas Lang. Thomas, how are you?
I'm very well, Hanan. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks you too. Thomas, first of all, I must ask you about the recent tour you shared in Brazil with Achilles Priester. How that went, and tell me what can you tell me about Achilles?
Well, the tour went really well. Um, we did 22 shows in 22 days in 22 different cities. So it was quite a grind, you
Wow,
know. We were
wow.
really road dogging it. It was hardcore, but we had a fantastic crew of 6 people, and they did a wonderful job. Achilles is not only, as you know, an amazing drummer and performer and absolutely world class in everything he does, but he's also an incredible tour manager.
Mhm.
So he organized this tour in the absolute best possible way. It was really as comfortable as you can possibly make it, considering the circumstances and the grueling schedule. And he did a really wonderful job to make it really comfortable for me. And so I was very impressed with not only Achilles as a drummer. I've obviously known him for many years, and I know his wonderful drumming and his incredible work ethic. But it was also really impressive to see how he handled everything else in preparation for the tour, in terms of marketing, promotion, publicity, and then the actual tour management. And the way he dealt with all the local promoters and everything was just absolutely fantastic. Total pro in every respect. So nothing but respect for how Achilles set this whole thing up, and then um, managed to keep the morale high on the whole tour. The crew were amazing, so it was great, and I think the audiences really enjoyed it. And we went to a lot of places that were quite rural and smaller towns,
Mhm.
so I think people were very grateful to have us there and have a great drum show in their smaller cities. And yeah, I think the tour was a great success, and we're planning more for the future, you
Oh,
know?
great, great. Glad to
Yeah.
hear that. So, Thomas, these are uncertain times for musicians and drummers. It seems that the possibility of making it in the music industry or in the drumming industry is decreasing. But and also we have the common said of the AI seems to be a threat. So, what's your view on this? How do we stay focused, and how do we keep maintaining the inspiration in these times in order to not quit music and drumming?
Yeah. Well, I think the field of music and art has always been uncertain. I don't think the nature of that business changed all that much.
Mhm.
Um, I think that technology changed clearly very much, and it has positive and negative impacts. We can produce music much cheaper. We can upload it. We can sell it. We can promote it all ourselves with social media and our own websites. And you can use AI, in fact, to create the business plan, to build a website, to create your own app. I mean, AI is a fantastic tool.
Mhm.
I don't think any live performer has to be afraid of AI. How are you ever gonna get AI to simulate a live performance? It'll never happen. In the digital realm, and the virtual world, AI can be a fantastic tool. I mean, everybody uses OpenAI and ChatGPT today, and I think it's a wonderful tool.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any reason to be afraid of that. In terms of music creation, yes, of course, you can use AI to make or create music. If you lack creativity, it can also be a tool to inspire you, and you can take inspiration from whatever AI spits out if you give it the right prompts and work with that. I don't think we should be afraid of AI. I think we have to embrace it and use it as a tool, just like we use hard disk recording systems and any other digital technology today. You know, we have to get on board with that and incorporate it in our daily work. You know, and in terms of the uncertainty of the business, like I said, I think the entertainment and especially music has always been uncertain, and there have been, you know, issues that musicians never properly dealt with. Like a lot of musicians don't educate themselves in regards to sort of legal aspects of publishing, licensing, and all that. I think the individual can do a better job educating themselves a little bit more and knowing how to monetize things, how to sort of extract the highest possible sort of income from what we do and how to monetize what we do. I think there are ways, and more ways than in the past. And yes, the industry has changed, but you know, I always tell people when they ask me like, oh, you know, is it worth giving up my day job and becoming a musician full time? What's the career going to be like? Is there any guarantee and certainty? And and I always ask them, what are you doing right now? And they're like, well, I work for a bank, or I don't know, I sell furniture. And I ask them, like, is there any guarantees right now? You know, isn't there uncertainty in your job too? And I always tell them this thing, you know, you have two choices. Number one, choice A, and choice B. A means you do something that you don't love, like working in a bank or insurance company, or I don't know, selling cars, whatever. You do that to make money.
Mhm.
And the possibilities are that you may succeed or fail,
Yeah.
because there's no guarantees in any business. And that's choice A. So you have a life that you live where you do something you don't absolutely love, and maybe you even hate it. And you could potentially fail even doing that. Or you can succeed, but if you succeed, it means you're succeeding in doing something you don't love doing every day. And choice B is you choose to do something you really love doing, and there are no guarantees, and you may fail or succeed.
Yeah.
But if you fail at doing something you really truly love. And if you succeed at doing something you truly love, and you have a life of total fulfillment, and you can make a living and be happy. So what do you choose, A or B? Something you don't love and you may fail or succeed, or something you love and you may fail or succeed? So for me, there's only one choice. You got to give it a try, and you got to try doing something you love every day, giving it your best shot. And if you truly love it, I think your chances are much higher to succeed than doing something you don't love. You know,
Real fail
you
is
have
not
much more
trying.
drive, you have much more discipline, because it's a passion and you enjoy doing it. And statistically, people who love what they do are better at whatever the area of expertise. So your chances are automatically higher, you know, and you work harder because it's not work at that point. It's a passion that you indulge in every day. And you're lucky and blessed to be able to do something you love every day. Why not go for that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the real fail is not trying.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So in
So,
terms of advice I could give to people who consider the music industry to be uncertain and difficult, yes, it's all that, just like any other business too, you know,
mhm,
but if you love it, do it.
mhm. Thomas, well, you mentioned the pros and the cons of social media. And for the pros, is that you can absorb a lot of content every day, every week, every month.
Mhm.
Maybe in some way, the cons is that you have all this content available, but you cannot digest it properly. So I want to ask you, for instance, how long did it take you to develop a method like creative coordination and advanced food technique? How much time?
So that was the third video I think I did for Hudson Music,
Mhm.
and the material in that DVD package, I believe the running time of those three DVDs is something like 7.5 hours or something. It's a really long DVD with tons of information on it. And the material included in that package is material that I developed over quite a few years prior to that. When I did my second DVD for Hudson Music, which was called Creative Control, I had about, I think, 2 or 3 months to prepare a script for the shoot and make a little bit of a plan for the shoot, select exercises and songs and so on. I did it very casually over a period of like 2 or 3 months, and then we shot it, I think, in 2 days. And then the second or the third DVD, in fact, because creative coordination was the third product I released with them, because they translated a German video I did previously. But that was, in fact, the third sort of product I released with them. For that product, I had about 6 months to come up with a script, a series of exercises, songs, etc.
Mhm.
And I just compiled material that I already had for many years that I was practicing when I was growing up. So things like all the rudimental foot patterns and the matrix system for independence training and coordination. Those are all exercises I used to practice growing up as a teenager. And it didn't take all that long to just put it all together in a series of exercises that made sense. I think I worked on it probably for um, maybe maybe a month, very casually, a couple of hours every day. I would compile things and write down ideas, etc., and then put it all into a script, send it to Hudson Music and got their approval. And then we shot it over 4 days in upstate New York at the NFL studios. And we did one day of acoustic drum set
Yeah.
recording. One No, hang on. We did one day, yes, one day of all the song performances, one day of all the exercises on the acoustic kit, one day of exercises on the electronic kit, and then we did one day of all the announcements, all the spoken word stuff in the DVD. And we had switchovers between all the different drum sets with sound checks and lighting checks and everything. So in reality, we recorded all the playing in about 2.5 days or so.
Oh,
So it
awesome.
wasn't, yeah, it was very quick. Um, and that was that, yeah. So I think the total amount of time spent on it in preparation was probably 2 weeks, 2 serious weeks of work, and then maybe, the shoot over 3, 4 days. So it's, fairly quick for a big product like that with 7.5 hours of edited footage.
Okay, okay, got it, got it. So, Thomas, well, the day has 24 hours. You have a life, we have a life. So, how much time do you currently dedicate to practice, and how do you divide your daily practice routine?
I don't practice daily.
Hmm.
I wish I could, but I don't have the time or at the moment to practice. I am very busy working all the time, and most of the practice I do is work-related practice, and it's mostly learning songs and learning new material. I really don't get to practice just kind of drummy stuff and sort of creative new drum ideas or anything like that. If I want to do that, then I really have to carve out time for that specifically, which at the moment I don't have. But when I used to have a regular daily sort of practice regimen and routine, I would practice 4 hours every day, a minimum. So I would have a really organized 4 hour a daily practice session. And that was divided usually in 3 hours of practicing specific exercises and 1 hour of playing and applying these exercises in my playing in a musical context. And then I would also the same day maybe have a rehearsal or a recording session or a concert or something. So I would be playing more that day. But I would do at least a minimum of 4 hours of actual practice. And then on top of that, I would probably play another 2, 3, 4 hours or something. But specific practice. And out of those 4 hours, the 3 hours that I was playing exercises, specific targeted exercises, I divided those 3 hours into 3 1 hour blocks. And I would practice always 3 things. So 3 important chapters. So 1 hour of, let's say, I don't know, jazz independence, 1 hour of, I don't know, rudimental stuff, 1 hour of reading or whatever. And those topics would constantly change according to my priorities and a list of weaknesses that I would find in my playing. So I would always practice with the goal of eliminating weaknesses in my playing rather than enforcing things that I was already good at. So I would always practice things that I couldn't do. And I would set goals, short-term and long-term goals. And I would practice every day in a very goal-oriented manner. And I would try to get a result every single day at the end of my practice session. I would have a practice logbook, and I would write down notes every day, tempos, the type of exercise I was practicing, how long I was practicing it. I would write down comments, positive or negative, about my practice success that day. I would write down, of course, tempos, any kind of issues, difficulties. I would write down the time of day when I was practicing these exercises. All these things are important to streamline your practice impact and success. And also they were important for productivity and for time management for me. So I would keep very, very thorough notes and logs of my practice every day. And that allowed me to then go back, months and figure out how long it took me to develop certain things, how long it took me to get from 0 to being able to play something, which then in return allowed me to project into the future what I will be able to play if I continued with that sort of organized discipline in the future. So I was able to plan my future practice, which is, I think, quite unusual and what I don't find many other musicians do.
Yeah.
And I think that made my practice extremely efficient and allowed me to get results every day out of my routine.
Great. Well, what about your plans for this year, and which artists are you currently working for?
At this year, right now, I've done a lot of recording sessions this year. We were just in Brazil, obviously, with Achilles. And that was a month long of work, tour. Right now, I just finished a studio session this week, a big session for Sony. I'm in the studio, I'm writing. I have a trip next week. I'm going to the Europe Drum Show, which is happening for the first time in southern Germany. And then I come back and I have more recording sessions here in town in Los Angeles. I'm flying out for a drum camp to Toulouse in France in May. Then I have a bunch of a whole big tour with an Italian artist I've been working with for 30 years. Her name's Gianna Nannini, and she is a huge Italian rock star. And I am doing a summer tour with her. It's a 4-month tour, all over Italy, Austria, Germany, Liechtenstein, Switzerland. So we're doing a big European tour. I'm playing, a lot of festivals and big venues, arenas and stadiums all through the summer. And between those dates, whenever I have a day off, I'm either doing a session or a drum clinic or a drum camp. So my calendar is really packed until pretty much the end of the year.
Great, great. So, Thomas, you're a reference for all the drumming community, and you have added value to all the community. But I would like to ask you about any lesson or advice that the drummer has given you. Can you remember one lesson or one advice that the drummer gave you?
Well, that another drummer gave me?
Yeah.
Well, there are many. One that springs to mind is that intellect is the enemy of flow. So, if you start to overthink, you interrupt your flow and you dilute your stream of consciousness with too much rational thinking and pre-planned playing. This is an important one, I think, because when you try to think about how to play things or what to play next, you sound a little stiff. You interrupt your natural flow and that sort of stream of consciousness, and you'll never surprise yourself. And if you can't surprise yourself, you can't surprise anybody else. Yeah. So, and this is, of course, I'm talking about more improvised music and flow, just free playing. So thought is the enemy of flow, and intellect is the enemy of flow. I think that's a very good one. In the right context of music, in like jazz, fusion type situation, improvised music. Another one is a great advice I was given was to always start with leading with your weak limb at the beginning of your practice session. So when you're sitting down to practice, just lead everything with the left hand or with the left foot and play completely left-handed if you can for a while before you start playing your regular stuff. And when you're practicing rudiments as a right-handed player, always lead with the left hand for practicing purposes. It completely recalibrates your brain and enforces that slightly weaker ability that you have with the left hand. It's a psychological thing more than a technical or physical thing.
Yeah.
If you keep paying attention and thinking about left hand lead, and you align your weak hand with a metronome or click track very precisely at the beginning of your session, the rest of your session will be so much more productive.
Yeah.
And I still do that today, at the beginning of every session, I play everything left-handed for a little bit. I play a few songs, left-hand lead. I play left hand or left foot lead, sort of kick drum patterns and stuff, just grooves, beats, to sort of cultivate that blood flow and that sort of awareness at the beginning of my practice session. And I focus on the weak side. And then only after like 15, 20 minutes, I actually start playing the way I would normally play it with right hand lead. I've always found that super helpful.
Yeah.
And another advice is, of course, to censor yourself. So you have to have a healthy amount of self-censorship in regards to what you choose to play and practice. You have to, practicing is a huge amount of work, and you may practice things that seem really useful and great. And once you hear yourself perform them, you realize they don't actually sound great, or it's not really actually how you imagined something to turn out.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to let things go, even if they were a lot of work in preparation and practicing. You have to learn to just censor yourself and go with taste rather than sort of the compulsion to work everything you've practiced into your playing.
Yeah.
So to learn to censor yourself and say, this thing that I practiced and I spent 4 months on doesn't actually sound good, so I'm just not going to do that anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, see, in some way you have to be honest with yourself and genuine
Yes,
in some way. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Well, Thomas, three more questions. There is no shortcut to becoming a drummer who master all four extremities, all four limbs. But which exercises are essential for developing a certain level as a drummer?
Well, I think we will start with the basics. The most essential thing are rudiments. Basic rudiments. You have to practice all of them, learn all of them. There is no way around playing rudiments on the kit, and there's nothing you can play in a drum set that isn't a rudiment. Everything you'll play, even if you have no idea of what rudiments are, you sit down and you play anything. Everything you play is a rudiment.
Yeah.
Whether it's single strokes or double strokes, a combination of mixed stickings or flams or unison strokes, all these things, everything you'll play, and anything that anybody has ever played can be broken down into rudiments. So it's a good idea to practice rudiments. It's like, the alphabet of drumming, and if you don't know rudiments, you'll have a much harder time learning new things, identifying patterns, memorizing things, and you are very limited in your ability to express yourself creatively and create flow in your playing. So rudiments, both for hands and feet, I think number one. And then you should ideally get your feet up to a similar level of control and command as your hands, especially if you look at modern music and the, insane speeds of, kick drum patterns and stuff in some styles of music. So you need to have really killer hands and killer feet today. I think very useful exercises are linear coordination exercises and linear licks, basically everything from combinations of, two with the hands, one with the foot, or two with the hands, two with the feet, one with the hands, two with the feet, in all sort of stickings and orchestrations. It's the 3 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, blah, blah, all these kind of combinations. Very important are alternating linear singles between one hand, one foot, the other hand, the other foot, those kind of things. So you can identify which limb is the weakest, and you're always sort of cross-checking your right hand, maybe your fastest, strongest limb with your left foot, which is probably your weakest. So these linear alternating singles or alternating doubles help you identify where you need to spend more work, And of course, I think extremely important are timing exercises, timetable exercises, which help with phrasing and timekeeping. Memorizing tempos, I think, is extremely important. And also jazz independence, learning to swing, play a great triplet feel. Everything sort of builds on that really in drumming. That's where it all comes from, So it's jazz, of New Orleans type style drumming. So do a real research into the history of it and learn great, a variety of styles and genres to educate yourself a little more. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, for sure. So, Thomas, in some way, Latin America, this Maggie is called Latin drummers, and I want to ask you this point about Latin America. Latin America scored a point with Eloy Casagrande joining Slipknot, and at the time, Argentinian drummer Gustavo Meli also participated in a modern drummer festival. So, what can you say about Latin American music and its drummers?
Well, Latin America, especially places like Brazil, have a massive drum scene and an incredible history of music and drumming specifically, with all the European and African influences merging in the country, and the whole world listens to, for example, Brazilian music. Everybody knows samba and bossa nova and maracatu and all these amazing rhythms. That style of music is heard all over the world. However, what surprises me every time I go to South America, anywhere, especially huge places like Brazil with such incredible music history and drumming tradition, is that not more South American and Latin American drummers are working internationally and globally, which always blows my mind. I mean, in a place like Brazil, there's literally like a handful, 4 or 5 guys, Ramon Montagnier, Achilles Priesta, Eloy Casagrande, Kiko Freitas, and maybe Igor
Mira, Figueiredo.
Carrera.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's it, and they play globally because they moved away. Not Kiko, maybe, but Kiko tours internationally, but all the other guys, they left the country to go like to America, for example, or to Europe and start working with people there to get out of the country and to get to work internationally. I'm just baffled that not more drummers from all over South America, whether it's Gustavo Meli, or Vera, all these incredible players who don't have the same chances if they remain where they are. And the saying that if you want to be a marine biologist, you have to move where there's an ocean. If you want to be an astronaut, you got to go to space. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you can't be yourself an astronaut. And you can increase your chances by moving to where there is an ocean, in our world. I mean, and that's what I did. I'm from Austria. I'm an immigrant here, So I'm not originally from here, but I also kind of sought out a place that is more fertile ground for what I want to do. Because in Austria, there was no chance for me at the time to, tour internationally or globally. So you have to go where there's better opportunity, I think. And I think that goes for all of South America, and Latin America.
Yeah.
I think music is still considered a hobby more than a job and a profession to many people in South America. And it's frowned upon a little. It's considered, a hobby more than anything, and not a viable profession. But when you come here, for example, to a place like Los Angeles or London or whatever, you realize it's a huge worldwide multi-billion-dollar business, and it's part of the entertainment industry. It's a real industry, and there are huge opportunities. You just have to go and work, get here and give it your best shot,
Okay.
and that's what I think about sort of the South American drumming scene. It is wonderful. It's amazing, incredible musicians and so much talent and experience and so much wonderful music, but also so much lack of confidence, so much fear, and so much frustration. Like, oh, people think I'm just doing this for fun and I don't make much money doing this, and I'm never going to be able to afford a house and to feed my family if I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And that's very sad to see. And the ones who do and make the move, and the ones who are courageous and venture out, every one of them is successful, because the talent and the experience and the drive is there.
Yeah. You have to be where everything happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Well, Thomas Lang, thanks a million for joining. It was a real pleasure to talk with you. And well, have a nice year and good luck for everything. Okay.
My pleasure, Hernán. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.